everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to show you a technique of decorative filing. Decorative filing can be used on anything that has a spine, like a knife blade, handles, the part of the handles, you see that all the time in really pretty knife work. It can also be done in the back ridge of tomahawks, things of that nature. I particularly use it whenever I do any sort of lock work to ornamentate certain areas of doing locks, hand forged locks. It can be used on so many different things, pretty much anywhere that has an edge. I've got a few hammers that I've done some decorative chasing and some file work on just the edges of the hammers. So it's definitely a neat effect to be able to learn, and it can just take what looks kind of plain and just give it that extra level of interest. So thanks for watching, and we'll get to it. Okay folks, here we are at the vise again. I was really pleased with how well of a popularity the decorative chasing for the roping was, that it really inspired me to go ahead and do some other decorative elements. I don't see a whole lot of stuff like this being posted on YouTube, so hopefully this will be a good resource of information for you. I'll start off with saying that my techniques are essentially, most of everything that I have learned about this type of techniques have been taught by Tom Latney. Can't say enough about Tom Latney. If it was like a master apprenticeship type thing, I would consider him my master smith. He's a guy that I really look up to and hope and inspire to be like. So, without further ado, I'll move around here. So these techniques, they're partly developed from me, and then a lot of my file work or chasing work that I've ever learned has been from Tom Latney, as I stated before. In the decorative roping or the chased roping video, I showed that it's important to have clean material. You can pickle it, you can sand it off clean. If you're already working on a knife, chances are you've already been doing a lot of grinding and file work anyhow, and so it's nice and clean. So this won't be a problem. One thing I like to point out here is, as you can see, I have a Sharpie. I have a black magic marker. This side I've darkened, this side I haven't. In my opinion, it is important for you to darken your metal when you're first learning how to do this, so you can see the pattern that you're looking for develop. And you'll see why here in a second. Especially if you're going to shoot anything for YouTube or try to explain this to anybody else. You may know what you're doing, but no one else may be able to see what you're doing. So we're going to color in the rest of this scrap piece here of bar. I already sanded everything down, just kind of gave everything a rough sand. It doesn't have to be a fine sand because we're going to finish it off later. But I just put on a nice heavy layer of black magic marker. If you have one of them wide tip ones, it's a lot better. Okay, so that's step one in this. So you'll need your piece, and you'll need a black Sharpie marker. Step two, you're going to need files, obviously. This decorative file work. This right here is what I believe is it's an 1/8 inch round file, rat tail file. Bastard cut, and it's fairly coarse. And then here's a very fine triangular shaped file. A triangular shape's not necessarily needed. You could get it done with a half round file or even some needle files. It just depends on how intricate you're trying to get with your pattern. For this, I'm just going to show a real basic pattern and how to take and obtain that. So those are the 2 or 3 tools: the Sharpie marker, the triangle file, and the round file. So, step 1, we are going to come in and file on the edges. But we are going to space out our file marks and essentially do a crisscross pattern. So I'll show you how that looks here in a second. So you want the file to dig pretty good. And there you go. As you can see, that black there, let me come around and check this camera. Oh, man, you can't see it all, can you? Okay, hold on, guys. I'm going to take you for a little ride. God, I hope this will get a little better for you guys. Hold on. Let's see here. There you go. So there's that file mark right there. I'm going to come to the other side and file a little, but I'm going to go essentially the width of one file over to the other side, or just about a width and a half of that file. And I'm going to give it a little bit of filing. The important thing to do is to keep your file marks even throughout if you're trying to develop a pattern. So don't get carried away with filing, because you're going to have to make them all just as deep as your first one, or whichever one's your deepest, you'll have to make them all to match. So keep that in mind. Also, this is a little more difficult. I'm trying to do this with the video camera here. My preference would be to take and stand up and lock this in the vise in just a different direction. But since that's not conducive to good camera angles, we're not going to do that. So once again, just going a width and a half on the file work, going in fairly deep, but not too much. You can see that pattern starting to develop there, hopefully. So about a file width and a half is what we're looking for. And you want to keep that consistent. If you need to, you can always take a small needle file and mark out the locations exact with a measurement tool of some sort. If you need that. I don't need to do all that for this video. I've been doing this a while, so you know, well, we'll let the outcome speak for itself, but for the most part, you don't have to take and mark these out once you get going and you get good at them. So as you can see, that pattern's developing now. So all this is a continuation of this all the way down your bar stock. You just keep developing that pattern all the way out. And as you can see, this doesn't take real long. So, you know, you see those things where those guys look like, man, they must have spent hours doing that. Maybe if they're not good at it, it takes hours, but not really. It's a fairly simple process. It just looks really cool, looks really intricate, but it doesn't take that much time. If you're selling your work, something like this could be the difference between something being a $50 item and something being a $150 item. And really, it's about that simple. It's just the little extra effort that counts, that would otherwise not sell, you know, if you don't do it. So this is what I would call the absolute base pattern. Absolutely basic pattern that you can do with decorative filing. So I haven't tried this pattern that I'm going for right now yet on anything. So I'm just going to give it an attempt and we'll see how it goes together here. Oh, I'm going to have to end up getting like, I don't know, I'm going to have to end up spacing this a little better. I'm running into a problem where I'm filing is hitting the vise itself, so I may have to adjust this a little bit and get right back with you guys. Let me go ahead and do that, and I'll get right back with you guys, and we'll continue. We'll continue on. Okay, here we are, guys. So I was able to get this a little bit better, and I think you all will be able to see what I'm doing a little better. So all I'm doing now is I'm adding a little mark to each side of the original round radius. And we're going to do that on all sides here. And this is the first time I've tried to shoot any file work like this, so bear with me. Something to mention, you want your file cuts at every time to be the same depth. There you go. You can see how that's starting to look right there. Let me see if I can get one extra light here and play it, maybe give it a little more brightness. Okay? Alright, so once again, you want to keep your file cuts to the same depth and the same pitch. Every time you make a new file cut, you want to keep that in mind. Reason why is because your pattern will get distorted otherwise. It won't look as good. Well, it won't look like a pattern. A pattern is things looking alike. So we'll go do a little more cutting here. And I'll just keep showing you that. That pattern there is going to run a little close together, but that's okay. We're just for demonstration purposes, guys. So I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. And do a little decorative filing. I'm kind of just trying to get some video shot here before I start my day. Got a busy day today, forging copper bowls and whatnot for a bunch of customers. Believe it or not, that's what I do for a living. I forge ironwork. Don't just make YouTube movies. So it's blacksmithing is definitely a passion of mine. So now I'm coming along, I'm adding all these little check marks. Some of them are turning out kind of cool. You know, there's some things I would do differently when I'm not demonstrating. I would go ahead and demonstrate a little something differently here, but since it's the first time I went for this pattern, it'll showcase the meaning good enough. So, and that's what we're going for, so that's all I care about. Anyways, well, probably one of the things I have going on here that I don't like is I should have went, some of them were about a file width apart, and then some of them were a file width and a half apart, which a file width and a half apart would have been a lot better and would have looked a lot more consistent with the design I originally had in my head. So I'm fighting that a little bit here, but that's okay. So, as you can see, I haven't really invested that much time. It takes longer for me to explain this to you guys than it does for it to actually happen in real time. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Some of these processes, like the chased, like the chased roping, you know, they take a lot longer. Actually, comically enough, I had one guy tell me in my chase roping design that he wasted 20 minutes of his life, you know, watching for something that was such an insignificant result. And what Roy says to that is, I would like to see them do better. So, if any of you guys thinks that you're wasting your time watching my videos, I suggest you find somebody else's uninformative channel there. That's going to be my only rant on trolls there. Actually, I'm going to do a whole video on trolls. Just fun. It's going to be a goof around video. But it essentially inhabits what I think about trolls and guys who are unproductive men of society. And that's what I call them. They're unproductive men of society. They have nothing better to do. They don't add or invest in anybody's lives. And so therefore, they're trolls. Constructive criticism, always welcomed. If it's coming from an intelligent person. If you don't know what the hell you're talking about, it's just best to keep quiet. So, anyways, so I hope you guys could see how this worked out. on here. I'll try to darken this back out a little bit so this way maybe you guys can see. My hand was rubbing it a little bit. I'm hoping I'm in the shot and all that other good stuff. Oh, darken that all out again. Like that. Sometimes you'll have to redarken and darken and redarken and do all this stuff a couple times to get, you know, to be able to see what you're doing there. Let's see how this looks on the camera here. Yeah, you guys can see that pretty well. So as you can see, the result can actually look pretty darn cool in pretty short order. You don't have to take and, you know, spend hours at doing this. The more accurate you can be with it, the better off you are. And one thing I suggest, this is a really coarse file. So what I would suggest for guys that are wanting to do this, like on knife blades and things of that nature, get yourself a chainsaw chain file. A lot of hardware stores will have them. They have them in a lot of smaller sizes, and they're usually fine round files. That's just a cheap source to take and get, you know, some pretty decent files for cheap, and they usually make pretty good files for chainsaw files. And all I'm doing here is, this isn't anything important, I'm just trying to brighten this up so you guys can see the pattern that had developed over the course of the whole thing. And it looks like you guys can see that pretty good. So anyways, that's it for today, guys. That is decorative filing. I'll put a snapshot of this at the end of the video here so you can look at that. You know, I can get a little better detail when the camera's just in camera mode versus video mode. But anyways, yeah, I should put some other videos up in the near future doing more decorative work like this. So if you like it, you know what to do. There's that thing right there. It's called your thumb. You just hit the thumbs up. If you disliked it, you can hit the thumbs down. Pretty simple. Anyways, thanks guys. Appreciate you so much. Have a great day, and we'll catch you on the next one.